We have some huge news to go over today. The Toronto Maple Leafs have made more moves, and following what has been a crazy season thus far of changes to the roster, the Leafs have made quite the surprising move that has fans split. We're going to break that down as well as discuss multiple other updates, including some injury stuff, a ton to go over on this episode. But before we get into it all, if you're a part of the percentage or unsubscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Leafs content. Your guys' support has been unbelievable. Darius, the Leafs are back in action tonight. It's going to be hopefully a very big game and looking for their third straight win. And they decided to make some more moves. Now, we obviously know Steven Lorentz was scratched in the last game, but they won that game nonetheless. And that kind of really led to a lot of discourse, a lot of speculation on what the lineup will be tonight. And they made an interesting move here. So Steven Lorentz is returning to the lineup despite being scratched the night before. But Calle Jarnkrok is the one who is out of the lineup. Now, this is kind of what I expected here. I didn't necessarily expect him to be taken out until Scott Laughton was coming back because of how good he has been this year. But there's been a lot of conversation online, a lot of conversation in general about a guy who has, whatever it is, 3 goals being taken out of the lineup, especially after the Leafs won their past couple of games. What are your thoughts on this? And also let us know down below in the comment section. To me, makes some sense, to be honest. Had a couple of rougher last couple of games since the start, but at the same time, quite an interesting move here. And this is the most, I think, movement we've seen in a while for this early in the year.
Yeah, and I think the Leafs are starting the season playing pretty well for the most part. And hopefully tonight Toronto has a better result against Seattle than last night. That would be nice. But, with the lineup and some of the moves that they've made, I think this one's interesting. And I think that there's a conversation, like you said, starting to happen. And Terry Cowan, had a tweet this morning as well. And I have to agree with him that, why isn't it Dakota Joshua at this point in time that they're looking at? Or maybe a guy like that in the lineup that they're looking at to maybe send a message to, because you have all these, guys waiting in the weeds. Sammy Blais, that's been very quiet as well, right? And a guy like Dakota Joshua hasn't really been a difference maker so far this season. Now, I said in the summer he's going to play a big part for this team, and I do truly believe that. But, Calle Jarnkrok has been pretty good, right? For everything that we've thrown at him, there's so much trade talk, and they were actively trying to trade him in the summer as well. For all of that, he has started the season pretty hot and, spent some time on different lines and stuff like that. So again, Berube is just saying it's a numbers game. He's coming out. Lorentz is going in. Makes some sense as well. I knew that, Lorentz at some point was going to come back in very, very soon because, everything that he brings to the table, he can score. He plays that physical game. He gives 100% every shift. I love Steven Lorentz. He's a great player, and I'm so happy that they re-signed him. So that makes a lot of sense. But who's coming out doesn't necessarily at this point in time, because Jarnkrok has had some use lately and has been putting up some points and playing well. So I'm a little surprised they didn't take the opportunity to send a message to somebody else.
Yeah, and obviously let's look at Berube's, reasoning. Just a numbers game, nothing more than that. You mentioned Terry Koshan's tweet. He said, Lorentz and Jarnkrok out tonight as indicated with the Leafs lines yesterday at practice. Fourth line of Nicola Waugh between Lorentz and Jarnkrok with Dakota Joshua scratched wouldn't have been a surprise. Joshua has been more than he has been. Just to be clear, this is word of weirdly. Dakota Joshua is not scratched. He is playing. But
Yes.
that would have made a bit more sense to have him in. And let's look at the full lineup based on what we saw yesterday, which is, of course, Nyes, Jarnkrok, Cowan. You can replace Jarnkrok with Austin Matthews, which he's in tonight. So Cowan remains in the top line. Michelli remains on the second line with Tavares and Nylander. And then a third line of Domi, Robertson, and McMahon, which in theory should just be a go line, score some goals, and who cares about defense. And then kind of the opposite on the fourth line with a couple of pretty good defensive-minded players in Lorentz and, of course, Dakota Joshua. So, any thoughts on the other lines? They've remained basically the same. Again, the third line's very interesting. The blue line remains the same. Stolarz is out there. But, yeah, it's still a little bit not puzzling to me. Like, I understand the reason that they're doing it. It's just I don't know if Dakota Joshua, has a lot more runway, I think. I know, than Calle Jarnkrok because of what he's done in previous years, even though Berube seems to like Jarnkrok.
Definitely. And I think it's interesting that he's moving to the right side as well, because he spent some time on the left side, and all the projections coming into the season had Dakota Joshua on the left side. So that'll be interesting to watch too, and kind of how he responds tonight, because, that chatter's just kind of starting. Like, why is it Jarnkrok coming out? Because, we've been talking, Nick, on the channel about, like, they're looking to trade him. He's probably the odd man out and all of these things, right? But at the same time, credit where credit's due, he's been playing well. He's been putting in good work, right? So not necessarily getting rewarded for that and being taken out of the lineup for Steven Lorentz. And then the other other lines, the interesting storyline for everyone who watched the game the other night is Easton Cowan. Does he stay on that top line? Depending on how the game goes, do they manage his minutes again? Because Austin Matthews, Matthew Nyes, William Nylander, they all played like 20 minutes last game or just above 20 minutes, and Cowan was at 11 minutes. So, he was basically taken off, not necessarily benched. They needed a goal. So I think that it really depends, how this game goes and if they manage his ice time again and if Nylander goes up on the top line again. So that made sense in the last game, right? Total sense. But depending how this one goes, does he take regular shifts? Is he playing in those big moments? I think that's a big thing to watch out for too in this game. So should be a pretty big one. And, there's going to be guys coming back from injuries as well. You got Scott Laughton coming back at some point. So how does that affect Easton Cowan? Do they continue to shelter him in those moments, right? We'll see what happens with that. I think that'll be interesting too.
Yeah, let us know down below what your thoughts are on that. And again, Matthews is available. Now, looking ahead to the game tonight, it is against Seattle, which of course we know the Blue Jays are playing Seattle. Some crazy things going on there. But sticking to the hockey side of it, the Kraken currently are 2-0-2, so they've yet to lose in regulation. And then, of course, they are playing the Leafs, who are 3-1-0 at home this season, 3-2 total record. Anything you're looking out for here? Obviously, William Nylander, you can see, starts slow and is tied for the league in points at 5 games. That's something that not a lot of people are talking about, at least outside of Leafs fans. We know William Nylander had the rough couple of games. He had the conversation with Craig Berube, but despite all of that happening, despite all of that being true, he is tied for the league lead in points, which goes to show his talent ability. It goes to show how important he is, obviously, to the Leafs, but it also goes to show how crazy sometimes things can get, when they're put into perspective, especially with William Nylander and his talent.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of them, a couple empty netters, right? So keep that in mind as well. But for the most part, he has turned it on, especially last game. So I want to see more out of him in that way. He's a little frustrating to watch sometimes away from the puck. We all know that. So, that's a lot of fun. Matthew Nyes has had one of the sneakiest good starts to a season I've ever seen, right? He's putting up points. He looks amazing. He's well over point a game player right now. So we'll see if he continues to keep that up. A lot of those might come on the power play and standing in front of the net like last game. And the other thing I wanted to bring up, Nick, is the power play. It's starting poor once again. They just got their first power play goal the other night, so I'm looking for that to be better. But if you're looking at the track record in the last couple of years, if that's what we're expecting or hoping for, I don't know if that's what we're going to get. So that'll be interesting to watch as well. How do they continue to get better on the power play? Obviously, Morgan Riley is there now. He's starting to put up more points, which is something that the Leafs need, a lot more points from their back end, so that's encouraging. But should be interesting to watch tonight and obviously the rest of the season. So they got to put that to work tonight. So I'm looking for those things. Cowan, see if Nyes can continue doing what he's doing. Let's get the power play going a little bit. The penalty kill hasn't really been a problem. Obviously, the defense and the goaltendings look good. So that's encouraging as well. And let's hope after this big win against Seattle tonight that the Toronto Blue Jays can pull out a big win against Seattle as well.
Yeah, Austin Matthews says we're all rooting for them. Unfortunate loss yesterday. And yeah, they haven't finished above league average. In forever, really, since 2016. So I haven't been better than 15th there. So let us know what your thoughts are on that. What changes would you make to the line? And are you upset, or are you on the side of not really caring that much that Calle Jarnkrok is the one who is being healthy scratched in exchange for Steven Lorenz following his hot start? Thank you guys for watching. See you later.